Time Warner Cable is pleased to be an underwriting sponsor for Carolina Week.
Coming up on the April 13th edition of Carolina Week.
I'm Jennifer Kessinger. I'll show you what bigger than expected state budget cuts could mean for your education.
We'll talk to members of an immigrant family who are looking for answers as they struggle to survive.
In sports, the football team takes a big hit and the Diamond Heels take down an in-state rival.
Weathercaster Patrick DeVore will tell us if these sunny skies will stick around into the weekend.
All that and a local festival that will take you on a thirst-quenching trip around the world.
Carolina Week starts right now.
From the James F. Goodman Studio in the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, connecting campus and community, this is Carolina Week.
State budget cuts might be getting worse and they could hurt you more than expected. Good evening, I'm Jeremy Spearman.
And I'm Andrea Ludka. Thank you for joining us. The university system could be facing cuts of more than 15%. Jennifer Kessinger joins us live in the studio. Jennifer, just how bad could it be?
Andrea, fears are mounting that the university system and UNC Chapel Hill specifically could be facing drastic cuts that will affect the quality of a Carolina education.
A House committee has released the budget proposal for next year, and the outlook for the UNC system isn't so bright. The potential cuts have some students concerned about the future of their education. Junior Dean Drescher is one of those students.
I think that class schedules is where I actually feel it the most, not being able to get into certain classes or having classes that are bigger than they should be.
If the proposal passes, the 17 system schools will see cuts totaling 17.4%, or $483 million. That's the equivalent of state funding for 5 of the smaller system schools put together. The cuts are less than the 30% reduction system president Thomas Ross talked about last month. But Vice President for Finance Charles Perouse says the cuts would still have serious implications.
15%, 20% would really impact the infrastructure and what makes our university system great.
UNC hospitals would lose $44 million, and UNC TV would lose all of its state funding. UNC Chapel Hill would be expected to cut more than $75 million from its programs. The UNC system would also be forced to cut more than 3,000 positions, 9,000 course sections, and 240,000 class seats. New student body president Mary Cooper is getting thrown into the deep end, but she's ready to help students cope with budget cuts.
What's going on in Raleigh right now is incredibly important and will affect the quality of our education if we don't stand up and say something. We're working on different ways to really engage the student body and let them know that they can have a voice.
Now, Chancellor Holden Thorpe has called the cuts to higher education disproportionate compared to K-12 and community colleges.
Jennifer, this is just a proposal right now, but where do we go from here?
Andrea, there's an opportunity for amendments at the committee level. Then the whole House would have to approve a final draft. After that, the House and Senate must agree to a final proposal that they would send to Governor Bev Perdue. So there's still a long way to go before we know just how deep the cuts will be.
Sounds like a long way to go before we have anything, before we know how deep the cuts will be. That's Jennifer Kessinger live in the studio. Thanks, Jennifer.
The UNC student who claimed to be a victim of a hate crime allegedly falsified his reports to investigators. On April 5th, Quinn Matney reported to UNC police that he was targeted in an attack near Craig Dormitory because he's gay. Matney checked into the emergency room the day before on April 4th with 3rd and 4th degree burns on his wrist. After initially condemning the incident in an email Monday night, Chancellor Holden Thorpe sent out another message less than 24 hours later explaining that police had determined his claims to be false. They say Matney could face criminal charges. Now, in response to the controversy, Billy Klutz, co-president of UNC's Gay, Lesbian, Bisexual, Transgender, Straight Alliance, told Carolina Week that the group will still hold a forum to encourage speaking out against assault, and that will be Thursday night at 6:30 p.m. in Gardner 105. Almost 50 years after a UNC fraternity house fire took the lives of 5 people, safety precautions put in place to prevent another such tragedy have saved the lives of almost 20 people. After an electrical fire outside the Sigma Chi fraternity house Monday afternoon, the town of Chapel Hill has condemned the property until the extent of the damage is determined. Officials say that a faulty electrical cord is to blame and workers have already started making repairs. Now, no one was hurt in Monday's fire, and residents are temporarily displaced while the property is inspected and repaired.
Officials are phasing out UNC's webmail system for good in favor of a new and arguably better service provider. The new email system is called HealMail, provided by Microsoft. Starting yesterday, students can now opt into the new system with assistance from ITS representatives who will be in the quad. Those who convert to HealMail early can get free food and enter to win prizes like an Xbox. The university hopes to be fully converted to HealMail by August, just in time for the start of the next school year.
Now, imagine living in a country for years and suddenly finding out you're not welcome anymore. Claudia Rupsich joins us live in the studio. Claudia, you spoke to a family in that very situation. Now, why is this case important?
Well, Jeremy, it's definitely complicated, and it's a story that shows some of the flaws in the current immigration system and just how hard it can be to get help.
Mirna and Manuel Ramirez have lived in North Carolina for 8 years. The family of 4 moved from Mexico legally with a work permit. But in October, Immigration Services denied Ramirez's working permit renewal because his case for residency had been what officials call administratively closed. Ramirez was left without a job.
I just felt crushed, surprised, because I never received any official letter.
Immigration law says if a case is pending, the applicant should still get a working permit. Ramirez's case is pending, but 5 months later, he still hasn't gotten a permit. The couple went to the local immigration office for answers, but workers there told them it was out of their hands.
I feel frustrated because I see our future at risk. Seriously, I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm worried about my kids.
Duke Law professor Hans Linnertz is an immigration lawyer. He says dealing with the system is never easy.
It is impossible to communicate with the person who actually has responsibility for that, if there is a person.
The family got a lawyer to work the case at immigration headquarters in D.C.
All of a sudden, you are told that your life is gone, that you don't have a job, and you will not receive any benefit from the government, that you are alone.
Meanwhile, the Ramirez family is in limbo. They don't face deportation, but they can't work or use any services. We called Immigration Services, but they said they weren't unable to comment about the specifics of this case.
Now, Claudia, are cases like these common among immigrants?
Well, Jeremy, every case is different, but things frequently go wrong. Leonard says the difficult and expensive process of coming here legally is what causes so many undocumented people to cross our borders.
All right, that's Claudia Rupsich live in our studio. Thanks so much, Claudia. Now, Andrea, with finals coming up, there's definitely going to be a lot of late-night study sessions going on.
Definitely, but the cons of cramming before an exam might outweigh the pros.
There are so many fun things we all can do to be healthier, no matter who you are or where you are. So let's move.
Well, here we go. We're getting set to get underway.
Let's stretch in the grass.
Great play.
Let's play tag.
What a play.
Let's jump up and down.
Oh, what a way to finish it.
And most of all, let's eat better so that we have the energy we need to play an hour a day, every day.
Everyone can play. Just go to letsmove.gov to learn more.
Treat your family to Van Gogurt, packed with live and active culture to boost kids' math and reading skills.
It's sure to satisfy your hunger for inspiration.
Feed your kids the arts. For 10 simple ways to learn how, visit americansforthearts.org.
Listen to the Uncle Johannes. Eisenbrahms make you grow up smart and successful so you can be a doctor, lawyer, handsome, genius composer. Like me.
Feed your kids the arts. Visit americansforthearts.org.
Finals approaching, many UNC students are foregoing sleep in order to study. Reporter Jenny Brown tells us how lack of sleep could really cost you.
With so much to do and so little time, college students often pull all-nighters. Junior Miranda Patterson kept a video diary for Carolina Week during an all-nighter.
Hi, the time is now 1:04.
After a previous all-nighter, Patterson forgot which day it was.
I had the same clothes I had on yesterday, but then it's a new day and I have on the same thing, so I'm just keep going. It's kind of gross, actually, now I said it out loud.
When we don't get any sleep, we can't remember what we studied or put complex thoughts together. Sleep experts say too little sleep could affect your grades.
Many people might have had that experience when they cram all night. The retention for that material later is maybe not as great a couple weeks later, even if they were able to pass the test.
Lack of sleep also makes people cranky.
You are irritated, like anybody would be irritated if they haven't gotten enough sleep.
Duke researchers showed lack of sleep might also affect your brain's ability to make decisions.
Now, what our study shows is that sleep deprivation biases the amount of attention you pay to the pros or the positive aspects of the decision and makes you discount the consequences.
So, what's a busy student to do?
I'm pretty tired, so I think I'm going to take a 20-minute nap.
Experts say some sleep is better than none, but the best way to study is to plan ahead and protect your sleep. In the Student Union, I'm Jenny Brown, Carolina Week.
Not everyone needs that 8 hours of sleep a night. You could need more or less, so listen to your body and sleep until you feel rested.
Now here's something local kids might lose sleep over. A popular hotspot for children is on the move. Kids Zoo Children's Museum will close its doors on Franklin Street in May as it begins its move to a new home. The popular museum will move to the top of the Wallace parking deck at 150 Rosemary Street. The new location will feature 15,000 square feet of freedom for kids to enjoy, which is, get this, more than 5 times the size of their current space. Kids Zoo will take a pit stop at University Square for about 18 months while its new home is completed.
UNC police want you to keep an eye out and watch for pedestrians when you're driving through campus. Officers were out in force today handing out T-shirts and raising awareness for their Yield to Heels pedestrian safety campaign. That's sponsored by UNC's Highway Safety Research Center. Founded in the wake of a 1999 pedestrian death on campus, Yield to Heels continues to improve the safety of those walking through campus. Today is just another important reminder for drivers and pedestrians alike to be safe on campus streets. And you've heard it before, free ice cream. Well, sometimes the tasty treats can serve an even greater purpose. People lined the sidewalk outside of the Franklin Street Ben & Jerry's Tuesday afternoon for the annual Free Cone Day. UNC Dance Marathon representatives collected donations during the event to raise money for next year's marathon. Inside the store, customers could choose from a variety of flavors in cups or cones, but free or not, they savored every last morsel. All donations will benefit the North Carolina Children's Hospital.
If you happen to take a 30-minute drive outside of Chapel Hill into nearby Pittsboro, you might be surprised by what you find at the end of a long gravel road. Reporter Katie Contis has a story.
71-year-old artist Sig Linda Scarpa has been honing her clay skills since she was 13.
My artwork is my sanity because I always felt that I didn't fit really anywhere. So in order to keep saying, I have to see something that makes sense.
Abandoning animals doesn't make any sense to Sig Linda, so she founded the Goat House Refuge. There are more than 200 cats living at the Goat House Refuge. These cats have about 3 acres to roam the property. The cats also have a warm indoor sanctuary to roam while they're up for adoption.
The cats are amazing. They all have their stories, you know. You just have to learn to listen.
Sig Linda raises $13,000 a month to care for the cats. The money comes from donations and the sale of her artwork. Sig Linda's passion for helping animals doesn't include cats only. Sig Linda's property is home to rescued goats, chickens, turkeys, geese, and dogs. Her love of animals goes back a long way.
I was a little autistic child. It was really hard for me to communicate with people, but I could communicate with every animal. Hello, he wants kisses from Mama.
Sig Linda currently has more than 30 volunteers who take turns caring for the cats and other animals. Sig Linda hopes to find someone to help her continue the Goat House Refuge as she grows older. In Pittsboro, I'm Katie Contis, Carolina Week.
Now, Scarpa stresses the importance of spaying and neutering your pets so that more unwanted animals won't end up in shelters like hers where they could be euthanized. Now, weathercaster Patrick DeVore joins us in the studio.
Patrick, you know, we've had some rainy weather yesterday. It wasn't that great. What's the outlook for next week, though?
Well, if you've been outside today, you can see that people have been enjoying the sun. It'll be just like that after a quick break for some storms. I'll tell you more after the break.
We can all be energy savers. It's easy. Turn off lights. Use energy-saving light bulbs. Turn off electronics and appliances when not in use. Make a change and we can really fly. Learn more at energy.gov/kids.
When I give you the signal, you two cut left to the flag. I'm gonna cover you from that tree over there. Remember, don't go for the flag unless you know the coast is clear, okay?
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent, because kids in foster care don't need perfection. They need you.
Welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm weathercaster Patrick DeVore. Well, if you've been outside today, you have noticed that our temperatures have come down a little bit. That's a return to a seasonal pattern. And besides the chance for some weekend storms, it's going to be a great weekend. But we'll give you an update on our drought conditions as we are still in an abnormally dry pattern. Taking a look at, whoops, for some reason I seem to have lost my ability to advance my slides. Sorry about that. Taking a look at our satellite, you can see that there's this area of clouds that was associated with what brought us our storms yesterday. That's moving off to the north and east, and there's this cold front that brought us the rain. That's also moving out to sea. So that's going to be moving out of our hair and bringing us some nice clear weather for the next few days. You can see that reflected by this area of high pressure. That's going to be pushing, it's sitting right on top of us, not moving very far. It's going to keep some nice weather in the area, which is going to be great for all you sun lovers who want to go out there and get an early start in your tan. Friday, you can see that high pressure area is still just sitting right over top of us. It's going to continue our warm weather, but there is this cold front that's going to be pushing down to the south, bringing us our next chance for rain Friday night and Saturday morning with some thunderstorms, possibly severe. We'll keep an eye on that and let you know. If you plan on heading out to Raleigh for the first of the 3 games for the NC State and Carolina baseball game, Friday's game looks better weather-wise. You've got about 70 degrees for your first pitch with some partly cloudy skies. There is that chance for thunderstorms towards the end of the game with a low of about 64, or I'm sorry, a temperature about 64, 30% chance of thunderstorms. Make sure you grab an umbrella or a rain jacket just to be safe. Saturday's game right now is not looking that great weather-wise. We've got a high of about 72, but a 70% chance of storms. So it could be delayed. We're keeping our fingers crossed for a great weather for the series this weekend. 9:30 or so, 8:30 or so, about 63 degrees. So be a good night as long as it doesn't get rained out. Pollen, for those of you suffering, Thursday is going to be our worst day this week, this upcoming few days with high pollen, mainly from trees. It's going to decrease as we get some rain in here to about a medium pollen count on Saturday. Our drought update, we are still in a drought, abnormally dry for the entire Piedmont area. We're about 4 inches below normal than where we should be this time of year out at RDU, about 2 inches below where we were this time last year. So we really do need to get some rain in here. Tonight, we're expecting a low of about 44 degrees, a clear night, so make sure you get out and enjoy it. Could see a few scattered clouds out there, nothing major. Light northerly wind, so might want to take a jacket. Mostly sunny tomorrow, high of about 73. Easterly breezes, will be a nice day. Taking a look at our 5-day, you can see that we've got mainly 70s, which is seasonable for this time of year. Our average high is about 71, 72. Again, that chance of rain Friday night, Saturday morning. Low temperatures hovering around 50 degrees, a little bit of fluctuation tonight, but getting back up above that as we head into the weekend. Should be a great weekend to go catch a baseball game over at State, or maybe just stick outside and enjoy the weather out here.
Patrick, it sounds like we're set for Friday, and I hope the weather on Saturday will be just as good, not raining.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be keeping an eye on that line of thunderstorms. Hopefully it won't disrupt baseball too much.
Thankfully.
Thanks, Patrick. Well, UNC Greeks can get down on the dance floor, but this time it was to raise funds for charity. Last night was the first ever Greek Groove competition starring 11 Panhellenic sororities. The girls' sisters appreciated their original routines, and so did the rest of the audience. In addition to taking home first place bragging rights, Tri Delta also earned $1,000 for its national charity, St. Jude Children's Hospital.
Let's take it over to sportscaster Andy Reeves joining us live in the studio now.
Yeah, Andy, we're just coming off the spring game this week, but sports is talking to bowl games already.
Well, Jeremy, we found some financial information about the bowl games that may surprise you. Coming up after the break, we'll take a close look at whether or not it pays to go bowling.
Rosita, did you know there's a right way to sneeze? Let's show them, Elmo. Got it. When you feel like your nose needs to give it a chew, this is how you act. This is what you do. Lift your arm up high, bend it toward your face. Sneeze right there in the bendy place. Achoo! Achoo! You can do it with ease. Achoo! Achoo! That's the right way to sneeze. Thank you.
To learn more about preventing flu, visit flu.gov.
Every child is curious. George, look what I found. Turn their curiosity into a lifelong love of learning. That's a periscope. It's one of the most important gifts you can share. Create a curious reader. Oh, you want to build a castle like that one? This is super bedtime reading. Share a book together today. Visit read.gov.
Welcome to Carolina Week Sports. I'm Andy Reeves. Running back Ryan Houston received some bad news today that will keep him off the field for some time. Houston was grimacing in pain Saturday at the spring game, and with good reason. The running back fractured his shoulder blade on this collision. That's gotta hurt. He'll be having surgery tomorrow and should be back for the start of fall practice. With the conclusion of spring practice, the football Heels are hoping for a great 2011 season and the program's 4th straight bowl appearance. However, despite the prestige of postseason play, these games can place a big burden on athletics departments. Justin Page joins us live in the studio. Justin, are these games moneymakers? Are they moneymakers most people think they are?
Well, Andy, not in most cases. During its past 3 trips, Carolina has actually picked up more than just wins and losses. The program has also picked up some major costs.
UNC Athletics Director Dick Bedour knows the harsh reality of the current bowl system.
If there's profit to be made, then it shouldn't be at the expense of the schools.
While playing in the games, most universities struggle to break even, including UNC. University documents show that in 2 of Carolina's past 3 bowl trips, UNC's expenses exceeded the allowance provided by the conference, resulting in a net loss of nearly $470,000. And Bedour says that's not because of overindulgence by the athletics department, but a certain degree of neglect from the ACC.
The conference hasn't been as aggressive, in my view, as it should have been increasing the expense allowance because of travel expenses going up and hotel expenses and food expenses going up.
In addition to those expenses, most bowls also require schools to purchase a large number of face value tickets, with no guarantee they'll be able to sell them all. During the past 3 years, Carolina lost $350,000 on unsold tickets. And UNC isn't alone in facing these burdens. NCAA records show that in 2009, teams playing in smaller bowl games exceeded their expense allowances by an average of $108,000. And this problem has some frustrated.
In the first place, it's not fair because who are the gladiators? It's the 2 institutions.
Former UNC system president William Friday is the founding co-chair of the Knight Commission, a group dedicated to reforming college athletics. Friday believes the current bowl costs pose a major threat to universities.
There's got to be some kind of re-examination of this, and the NCAA is probably going to have to back up now and take a good hard look. You can't go on like this.
But despite the costs, UNC does make money off the system, as the ACC pulls together all of its bowl payouts and divides the money equally amongst its 12-member schools. However, this means that losing programs that don't have to pay for trips to bowl games usually end up making more money than the winning programs that play. But Bedour says that's just part of the system.
We choose to be in a conference. We choose to, in a way, build in an insurance policy for the years that you're not as strong. So, I mean, that's okay. That's one of the reasons you join a conference.
So, Andy, the way the current system works, it literally pays more to be mediocre. A couple of ACC teams that rarely make it to bowls make the same as those that go, but with none of the expenses.
Justin, with that being said, there has to be some reason schools continue to go to bowls.
Well, absolutely. There are definitely some incentives that aren't financial. You think about recruiting and exposure. Rachel Nash will have that report next week.
That's Justin Page joining us live in the studio. Thanks, Justin. Switching gears, the Diamond Heels are smoking. They played ECU yesterday. We joined the action bottom of the fourth as Chaz Frank singles up the middle to put the Heels up 2-0. However, during a big third inning for the Pirates, ECU would face 4 Tar Heel pitchers and tie the game at 3 with this single. Pirates were feeling good, but in the bottom of the 7th, Tommy Coyle puts the ball into play, and what looks like a routine out turns into an ECU error that allows the Heels to take back the lead. They go on to win the game 5-3, their 30th victory of the season. The 19th ranked men's tennis team is taking on number 10 Duke as we speak in a critical Battle of the Blue showdown. As you can see, things are very tight. Carolina holding a slim 10-9 lead. Today's match is worth 1 point, so Duke could tie things up with a victory. Right now, the score stands at 1-0 UNC. And guys, the men's basketball team will play Michigan State on an aircraft carrier next season. On November 11th, that is official. It was a rumor for a long time, and now it's happening.
Yeah, it's finally going to clear up those rumors.
That's incredible. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Andy. No problem. Well, it's getting warmer outside, and that means you're probably feeling a bit more thirsty.
Yeah, coming up after the break, we'll show you how some Triangle citizens choose to quench their thirst with tastes from around the world.
If you have a story idea, call Carolina Week at 919-843-8292 or email us at carolinaweek@unc.edu. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNC-CH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina 27599. Be sure to check out Carolina Week and Carolina Connection online at carolinaweek.org.
In 1977, an 8-year-old boy picked up the game of golf from his father. The odds of that same boy then making it to the US and European Pro Golf Tours, 1 in 7 million. The odds of the Big Easy winning the US Open twice, 1 in 1.2 billion. The odds of him having a child diagnosed with autism, 1 in 110. Ernie Els encourages you to learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Jeremy, UNC's diverse community can make you feel more cultured just by walking around campus.
It certainly can, Andrea, but Carolina Week's Liz McLaughlin went a step further, literally getting a taste of world culture.
My favorite's got to be the porter. I love beer.
In 1981, there were only 40 breweries in the United States. Now, there are more than 2,000. The growing craft beer industry has a growing fan base as well. Thousands of beer lovers gathered for the World Beer Festival in Raleigh. There were hundreds of beer types at the festival, but not nearly as many bathrooms. Beer has been a passion of Daniel Bradford since he can remember. And for the past 30 years, it's also been his career.
All we do, it's 2 very simple things. We educate the public about beer appreciation and beer quality, and we foster the development of local positive beer communities.
The Brewing Association says that there are 125 styles of beer categorized by factors like flavor, production method, and ingredients. More than 100 breweries brought kegs of their finest batches to the World Beer Festival for attendees to sample. Festival goers were able to learn about the beers they tried. Sierra Nevada's popular pale ale uses these Cascade hops to give the beer its unique flavor. This particular kind of hop has an alpha acid or bitterness level of 6.1%. The festival featured craft beers from around the world, but the Triangle has a rich craft beer presence of its own. In Raleigh, I'm Liz McLaughlin, Carolina Week.
Jeremy, I love that slogan you saw on the sign there, peace, love, and beer.
I know exactly. Andrew, have you ever been to anything like that? I actually missed the one in Raleigh this weekend. I was planning to go, actually.
I haven't, but if she's right and there's 100, you say breweries from around there coming to taste, you can taste all their beer, I guess? That sounds something I'd like to go to.
It definitely would be a good study break, especially this time of year.
Definitely. Finals coming up. I would definitely check that out. All right.
All right, well, that does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thanks for watching and have a good night.